Results continue to trickle in. We're joined by someone who really knows what these nights are like.
Yeah, that's former Virginia Governor Jim Gilmore, who was in office from 1998 to 2002. Governor Gilmore, we thank you for joining us tonight. I guess first, let's get your reaction to Virginia electing its first woman to be governor, the office you held.
Well, congratulations to Governor-elect Spanberger if all the votes hold up the way that we all think they're going to. Look, it isn't a matter of being the first woman. It's just what kind of woman. And the question is, I've been around strong women politicians my entire life. So that's not the most important thing. The question is, what was causing this from the very beginning? And, I watch Northern Virginia's vote. I particularly watch Fairfax vote. And when you think about what's happened out here, a lot of government workers have lost their jobs. A lot more of them are still employed, but that they're on furlough and they're not being paid. The government is shut down, which frustrates many, many other thousands of people. And of course, as we all know, prices continue to go up, and inflation has been the key issue. So I think that explains what's going on. But if you'll indulge me for a minute, let me also say I've been around, and I want to thank Winsome Sears for the hard work that she's put in, the tireless campaigning. John Reed is a personal friend of mine, and frankly, I thought he might make it. But and the same with Jason Miyares, the incumbent Attorney General, and I was the Attorney General of Virginia, and I thought Jason would win. But I think that this is just not the Republicans' night.
Yeah, Governor, so we saw former President Barack Obama endorse Spanberger, but President Trump, he was really slow to show any sort of support for Earl Sears, barely saying her name. Yeah, so why do you think he was so reluctant, and do you think this was a factor with voters?
Well, I certainly can't read the president's mind as to the way that he handled things, but he did come out and indicate that he didn't think Virginia voters ought to be voting for the Democrat ticket. So that's fairly close to an endorsement. But the main thing is that the president has got a lot that he's doing. I just think he chose not to endorse across the board in Virginia.
Governor, that before you served as governor, you were Attorney General. Obviously, you were hoping for a better outcome for Jason Miyares. We should say, though, we have not had an official call for this race at this point. Of course, that October surprise when we learned about those violent text messages from the Democratic nominee. What's been your reaction to those texts as you process what has happened during this particular election cycle?
Well, it was widely discussed on your channel and in every other channel. It was widely discussed. And so what this means to me is that the voters of Virginia are sticking with the ticket. Spanberger, it looks like she's going to win with a large margin. And a lot of the people who voted for Spanberger are simply not breaking ranks and voting for John Reed or for Jason Miyares. They're sticking with the unified ticket. At least it appears that way. Now, you're flashing up your numbers there. Jones doesn't have an overwhelming lead over Jason Miyares, so that could still prove out as a result of the text messages that you were talking about. But if it doesn't, I think it's because that the voters that voted for Spanberger in large numbers are not breaking away from the unified ticket.
Yeah, and Governor, based on the numbers you're seeing so far, what do you think the message is that Virginia voters are sending to Washington?
Well, I think that what you have to really look at is Northern Virginia vote. I always watch Fairfax County pretty close because it is so powerful. And I looked it up a little while ago, and the vote was 110,000 for Spanberger and 39,000 for Sears, and the votes for this election day hadn't been counted yet. That was just the early voting. So the margin in Fairfax could be quite large. Not to mention Alexandria and Arlington and the suburban counties. I pay a lot of attention to Northern Virginia vote. I spent a lot of time, as you know, in Alexandria. I have a place to live up there, and I'm up there all the time. I love Northern Virginia, but my gosh, do these folks vote. And they don't typically vote, and they don't particularly vote Republican either. So you have to, now it's not impossible. I carried Fairfax. I think that Governor Youngkin carried Fairfax. So it can happen, but you have to have a powerful issue to run on. And in my case, it was the car tax, and in Governor Youngkin's, it was parental rights. But those issues did not cut this year for Winsome Sears.
Governor Gilmore, you were governor at a very different time. This is an incendiary time, and that's probably a kind word to describe the environment that we're living in. But you also are part of that small club of folks who knows how to govern and has governed the Commonwealth. This is not going to be easy for the governor-elect. What advice would you provide to her? Even though she's not with your same party, she is going to be the governor for the people, all of the people in the Commonwealth.
Well, I'll give you my personal thinking about this. When I became governor, I was beating the old bird type machine. And when we brought the majority into the House of Delegates as Republicans for the first time, I was pretty partisan and said things as a partisan governor that if I could take them back, I would. So my answer to that is I think this provides an opportunity for Spanberger, for Governor-elect Spanberger. People would expect her to do maybe something like what I did and brag a lot about the Democratic ticket and the Barack Obama coming in and all those sorts of things. This may be an opportunity for her. Maybe she ought to reach across the aisle a little bit. And show herself to be the bipartisan person that she ran as. And if she did that, I think her popularity would go way up and position her to be a good governor, because it isn't easy to be governor. There's lots of challenges with the state legislature, I promise you that.
So we know that Governor Glenn Youngkin has a good relationship with President Trump. So what should be Spanberger's first move in terms of building that relationship with the president? There has to be some sort of communication.
Well, I think she can communicate with President Trump, and she should. At the end of the day, I'd keep my eye on the ball. I'd focus on what the real issues are that I think are governing this campaign, and that is the shutdown that's going on here. And that's all the polling is showing that the public is blaming both parties and the president in equal measure for the shutdown. But I think she can begin to lobby people to get this thing back going again, getting it open again, and she would be a real heroine if she did that. I think that she has to address the people who are out of jobs in Northern Virginia and very vigorously talk about what she's going to try to do to be aggressive about job creation. And then finally, inflation. Inflation is a national issue, to be sure. So that would be an interesting topic, I think, to take up with the president. If that becomes the president and her main goal to bring prices down, once again, she would be a very successful governor. And I wish her good luck on that. I wish her no ill will whatsoever.
Governor Jim Gilmore, ever the class act. Great to talk with you tonight. Thank you so much.
What a sweet thing to say. Thank you.
All right.